Hey guys, welcome back. Spring is here and I don't normally paint a lot of bright, colorful landscapes, but that's what I'm going to do for you today. This is a 12 by 12 stretch canvas by Fredericks. This is the type of canvas that it is. It's the blue label and it is super soft, and it is really easy to blend on with the type of craft paint and golden fluid acrylics that I use. So if you want to pause it for a second or screenshot this is the type of canvas that I'm going to use. And for paints, I will be using lots of colors today. Some craft paint. This is just from Walmart, black and white. Let me get it focused a little better here. Oh. I bet I just messed that up. Hopefully we can fix that. Okay, so craft paint, black and white. This is Apple Barrel is the brand, and I got this at Walmart. I'll be using both of those colors. I'll also be using burnt umber. It's just kind of brown. This bluish green, it's called turquoise. It's also from Walmart. Also from Walmart, English ivy green, light mocha. These are by Arteza or Arteza, and this is rose pink. Oh, is it blurry again still? Rose pink. It looks kind of peach over here on that camera. Over here you can see a little bit better of the color, sorry. Rose pink and mulberry. This one is Moody Blue, and it's from Hobby Lobby. I will also be using some golden fluid acrylics, Viridian Green and Cad Yellow Medium, and possibly some alizarin Crimson, also by Golden Fluid. First color I know for sure I'm going to be needing is not that one, this one. Moody Blue and white, and I'm going to paint a little light blue sky. So I'm going to get my paint out first. May not need that much blue, but I would rather have too much paint out than not enough and then have to stop in the middle of trying to blend. Because you know, if you're blending with acrylic paint, you don't really have time to stop and get out more paint because your paint will dry. Let me focus this camera. All right. Brushes that I'm going to use to paint the sky are going to be mop brushes. And I'm just going to use these two from Hobby Lobby. These are the 3/4 inch oval mop brushes. They are the same size. One of them is just a little bit more worn out than the other. And so I've already kind of sketched on here the layout of the land. I am using a reference photo, and if you want to copy this exactly, go ahead. This is not my design. I found the picture on Google, but a little bit of advice. If you're going to copy someone else's art and it's going to be kind of identical, you can't sell it because that's copyright infringement. So I will not be selling this. I will just be doing this to teach you guys my methods, and I'll probably just gift it to my mom. But we never want to be copying someone else's art and then selling it to make a profit, because that's copyright infringement. It's not okay. I'm going to get started on this background. That white paint is kind of clumpy right there. Really going to load up my brush. Lots of paint. I want my brush to be able to just glide across the canvas easily with no resistance. Set that to the side. Grab a little bit of the blue. I want the sky to be real light because there's going to be a lot of trees and stuff in the foreground. And I don't want it to be, the sky to be like super overpowering. Make sure this is all blended and wet. And then very quickly, I'm going to take a clean and dry mop brush. This one is by Color by Felix. And I'm going to swirl all of those colors together. Well, the two colors. To just blend it and make it real soft. Now, while this is still wet, I should have went ahead and got out my green. Well, I just made a mistake, so sorry. I should have got my my green background trees, that color. I should have mixed that up first. So I'm probably gonna have to paint that sky again. Sorry, that's my bad. First thing, crap, I've already messed up. I'm gonna mix up this background color. Really sorry, really sorry. I hate when I do that. So I'm going to use some Viridian Green, some of this turquoise blue, and some white that I've already got out. So I'm going to mix some Viridian Green, turquoise, and some white. I'm looking for like a bluish green for these distant hills. It's just going to get darker as I get closer to the foreground. I'm going to add a little bit of that blue too. That moody blue. All right, let's try this again. Back to my original brushes. It's still kind of wet, so I'm just going to keep going. If yours has already completely dried, make sure your canvas is nice and cool before you start to blend, try to paint or blend over top of it, because if your canvas is too warm, your paint will dry way too fast. So back in with my white. Really sorry, guys. I got ahead of myself. It's been a minute since I've made any tutorials, and I just got ahead of myself, got carried away. All right. I want to make sure, especially this part around the horizon, or like where the sky meets the background trees, that's still wet. Wipe off some of the excess paint from this brush. And then swirl to blend. Your mop brush will most likely lose some hair during this process, but don't worry about it because we'll take care of that in a minute. Just wiping off this brush. Now I'm going to grab, with the brush I was using, the blue, I'm going to grab some of that mixture that I just made. Put it right here. And then in real small circles, blend that into the sky. Sweep. Just looking for something real soft in the background. And now go a little bit darker here, so no white this time. I'm going to grab another clean and dry brush so that I can blend right here a little better with a clean brush so that it doesn't, so that I don't get so much of that blue up in my sky. Bring that on down, bring it around town. And then grab another brush that doesn't have any white in it and go just a little bit darker. So this brush doesn't have any white. And then take that brush again that I blended with that one, or that I used to blend right there. I'm going to use it over here. Well, most of this is going to get covered up, so I'm not super concerned with it looking too perfect. Really sorry I got ahead of myself. I feel really bad about that. All right. I'm done with that brush. Done with this one. Done with my blending brush. I'm going to leave these two brushes out because I might need them in a minute. Now I'm going to use my hair dryer to dry this, and any kind of brush hair that I've got left over from my brush, I'm just going to real gently rub the hair and it's going to fly away. So the hairs did pull up a little bit of paint from my sky and in the background, but I'm going to have so many trees and leaves and stuff on this, it's really not going to make that big of a difference. All right, now I'm going to mix up some brighter green for a big tree here and a little bit of something over here. And for that, I'm going to use Viridian Green. Ooh. I'm done with this turquoise. Viridian Green, some Cad Yellow. And that'll be the shadow color. And then I'll add a little bit of white to the mixture, maybe a little more yellow to make the highlight. And for the background trees, I'm going to use this round bristle brush. It comes in a set of a bunch of other bristle brushes. Some are round, some are flat. It'll be linked in the description for you. I'm going to load up my brush, and then I'm going to tap it on my cloth to get tap it on my cloth to get some of the excess paint out, because I don't want big globs. And I'm going to come up here. I'm just going to start tapping. I'm going to roll my brush in my fingers like this as I tap, so that I get lots of different patterns. That may not be dark enough, but we'll see. stuck my finger in a whole bunch of green paint. Tap it. I'll move my cloth over here so you can see me tapping. That's a big hair. Tap, tap, taparoo. And according to this picture, there's another green. I'm not going to do it exactly like the photo. I'm going to make it pretty close, but I'm just going to kind of go with whatever I'm feeling. In the photo, it's like got a bunch of branches. I'm just actually going to do like something like that. Try to be real random with it. Roll your brush. Heavier at the bottom. So like the taps are closer together. Up here around the edge, I'm spreading out the taps so that I get, like, you can see sky through the leaves. And now I'm going to take same color, a little bit of yellow and white. I want to make sure this is dry first, sorry. Okay. Now I'm going to add some highlight. Try not to overdo it. Roll my brush. If you overdo it, like I always do, you can go back in with your shadow color and darken some things back up. Ooh, that is real bright right there. That's all right. Come back in with my dark color. It's still got a little bit of that highlight on it, but that's all right. And just kind of go back over it again because I went overboard with the highlights as usual. I don't know why I can't control that. I just start tapping and I get so carried away. Okay. Green. It's very green. And I'm going to go ahead and block in down here, and then I'm going to add maybe just a few little like colorful things in the background. But I want to get this bottom part blocked in. So what brush can I use for this? I'm going to grab another one. I'm just going to use this same green with some yellow real light for the grass back here. I may need a couple of coats because that is looking real thin. Now I'm just sweeping from side to side, and it's kind of creating a little bit of natural texture for me. I guess because it's so transparent. And then darker, a little darker up here. This is just the blocking in part. It doesn't have to look great. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. Some more green and that yellow. This is my rock wall here. It's like a hill right here. Again, just block it in. It does not have to look perfect right now. We're going to add some grass texture to this and some shadows being cast from the trees. Some shadow around the fence or the rock wall. Now, right along this, I want some grass sticking up along the side of the road. So I'll have to go back over this multiple times, but just to give you a heads up of what it's kind of going to look like, I'm just going to hold my brush vertically and tap straight up and down. I just want to get this part of the canvas covered up. No little white spots sticking through or shining through. Just blend that up into that part of the green trees too, just so that it all kind of like blends together a little. And now I'm gonna block in my road and that fence so that I don't lose them. Burnt umber, a flat brush from the Deco Clarity set. This is going to be a real wonky rock wall. Not anything too straight, neat. And I'll just take a little bit of white with that burnt umber, block in this road. It's going to be a dirt road. I'm being real loose with my brush strokes for this too, because it's going to help me create kind of an underpainting for the road. And all of these little brush strokes that you see, like right here, that'll just help give me some texture on the road. All right, I'm going to get the grass painted first. And I'm going to use a fairly small bristle fan brush. This is the number 1. They'll be linked in the description as well. I don't have much of that green left, so I'm gonna mix up a little bit more. I used the Viridian green and the cad yellow, and I think I used a little bit of that green too. So real bright, add a little bit of white. That might be too much white. I need to get rid of some of these brushes, clean up my space. All right, maybe a little brighter on the picture. It's pretty bright right back here. And in the background for the grass, I'm going to hold the brush 90 degrees to the canvas, and I'm going to tap, but I'm going to push down like this. But the taps are going to be really small and light and really close together. That's going to give the appearance of the grass looking like it's really far away. When I get closer to the foreground, my taps are going to be further apart, and I'm going to push down harder on the canvas so you can see more detail in the grass. But back here, I want it to be kind of blurry. And then once I get my trees painted on here, I'll paint some shadows on the grass from the trees. This is going to be a real bright sunny day. It's okay if you're not picking up the exact same color every time. It's just going to give you some variation in the grass, and you want that. This painting's not going to look super realistic. It's not really what I'm going for, but the variations will make it look at least a little more believable. I'm flipping my brush too, just because I run out of paint on one side. So as I get closer to the foreground, harder taps and further apart. This grass will get probably another layer after the trees, because I'll need to paint the road, and then I can paint the grass sticking up in front of it. Wow, I just made a big mess. Okay, let's do the same thing over here. Probably going to cover up my rock fence just a little bit, but I'll go back and do it again. Small taps or light taps and really close together. bigger taps at the front, in the front. I'm not going to worry about the shadow from the fence yet. I'm going to do all the shadows probably all at once. That way I've got, like, I'm using the same color. I'm going to go ahead and put a few little areas of really bright highlight where the sun is hitting it the most, or the sun's hitting the grass the most. This will also start to help me create some shadows. Fewer highlights this time. So they're still close together, but they're not as much. I'm going to go ahead and block in some trees. Now I know that I have to paint this rock wall fence before I paint the tree because the tree is going to be in front of the fence, but I am going to go ahead and get it blocked in so that I can get some shadows going on this grass. For blocking in the trees, I'm just going to use this small filbert brush. You can use a flat one, it doesn't have to be filbert. This is from the Deco Enchanted set. And I'm going to use burnt umber or brown. I just kind of like to see the layout. I have to put my trees in before I can put my shadows in. I'm just going to wiggle my brush. I'm holding it at the end of the handle, and I'm just wiggling it with my fingers like this instead of like that. This just helps me make my branches a lot looser and more random. That helps me. Maybe it would help you. I will come in and add some highlight and shadow to these, darken them up a little. This is just me getting them sort of blocked in. This will be the bulk of the tree, the biggest tree branch. Maybe time to switch to a smaller brush now. I think it's time to switch to a smaller brush. I try to always paint my trees kind of skinny at first. That way, if they start to get too fat, that way they don't get too fat too fast. I have some room to like to work with it. But if I go too fat right off the bat, it's hard to come back from that. All right. I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush after I get this one blocked in, and I'll start to put some more branches on these trees. There's a lot of background stuff over here. This tree is going to be a little closer to the ground. All right. I'm gonna put these away because they're starting to dry on me. And now I will switch to a liner brush from the Deco Enchanted set. Now this set is discontinued, but any long liner brush will be fine. I'm going to dip my brush in a little bit of water. Get some burnt umber. Wipe off some of the excess water. Just tap it on my cloth. So I don't want it to drip, but I want my paint to be real thin. And I'm going to extend some of these branches. Really light pressure. Make them skinny at the ends. That's a big glob of paint there. I don't want that. Oh gosh. Ah. Ah. Oh, I'm dripping. That was too much water. I don't know how many branches I'm really gonna need or want on this yet. Let's do like a broken one here. once I start to add some leaves and stuff, I can always go back in and add more branches if I feel like it needs it. In the reference picture, it looks like it's really early spring. So the trees are still pretty bare. They're basically just now starting to bloom. And I'll do a couple here. All right, so before I move on, I'm really not super happy with the color of the background trees here, this green. So I'm going to back up and I'm going to touch that up just a little bit. And I'm going to mix up a new green by using Viridian Green, Indian Yellow, and Prussian Blue if I can find it. Prussian Blue, just a little. A little bit of Cad Yellow too, I think, maybe. I'm looking for like a pretty dark green. I think that's too blue. It's like, well, it's too bluish green. It's not quite dark enough, so I'm gonna add a little bit of alizarin crimson to darken it up. Ooh, I hope that wasn't too much alizarin crimson. Alizarin crimson is just like a really deep red. So to make a darker green, you would just add a little red. And I just use alizarin crimson because it's what I've got. You can use regular red. So that's much darker. That's what I wanted. And then for the highlight, I'm going to pull some of that out. And add more Cad Yellow. Hopefully I mixed up enough of that. Now I do have another one of those bristle brushes, so I'm going to use the clean one. Give this another go. I will have to paint my trees again, but I'll cut that part out because you've already seen me paint them once, and I'll just be going back over top of it. You're not going to miss anything. I do want it darker at the bottom like down here. So there will be less highlights down here. Yes, I just licked my finger. Sorry, that was probably gross, but if you're an artist, you've probably done that too. I'm just trying to keep it off of my bright grass down here. I just wasn't real pumped about that color of green. I want that to be pretty dark back here. I'm not going to go all the way up to the edge, like to the tops of the trees, because that's going to get a lot of highlight. So I'm just going to kind of stop right before I get to the top. All right, like that. Oh, we're getting there, finally. All right. I'm going to go outside of what I've already painted. Try to break this up so that it doesn't look so clumpy right along the edge. That apple green helped. Quite a bit. I'm gonna leave this dark down here. Rolling my brush. I don't like the way that looks, but that's going to be covered up with a lot of these background trees, so don't care about that right now. All right, I'm happier with that. Finally. Oh, I just stuck that down in a whole bunch of paint. All right, now I'm gonna go back and block my trees back in. I will leave it in the video, just speed this part up. And I'm going to use this green. It's the light green, the highlight from up here, but it'll be fine. I think this brush might be too big. Hold on. I'm going to switch to this little flat brush. It comes in the set with this one. This one. It's just a flat version and it's really small. Oh, this green. Excuse me, this green. I'm just going to tap some shadows on the grass. Not everywhere. Just here and there. And I'm using this light green, the highlighted green from up here, back here, because this part of the grass is really, really light. And if I use the really dark shadow color back here, it's not going to make much sense. I don't want to overdo this, so I'm just going to stop there. And we'll do a shadow from this one. A little bit heavier up here, lighter in some places, darker in some places. I can touch up around this edge a little bit if I need to, and I need to. So I went a little too far with that. So grab my yellow. Just kind of go over top of it a little bit, break it up. There's going to be a shadow from this tree as well, and from the fence. So I'm going to start putting the fence shadow on here. But the final grass layer will come on this side after I paint the fence, because I want to paint some grass sticking up in front of the fence. So it's not completely done yet. And then it's going to go right across the road. So I'm going to grab some brown. Add a little bit of a shadow along the edges of the road. Kind of darken this up a little bit. Rinse that off, get some of that brown out of my brush, and continue on over here.
I think I can switch to this one now. And just some random shadows over here from this tree. Now I can make my highlights pop just a little more by adding some more yellow and white. Oh, I grabbed some blue there, but okay. That's fine. Oh, it's right in that corner. Ah. I'm gonna dry this.
And then in some places, really bright highlight. That'll help make my shadows look a little darker and break up my shadows some so they're not like too perfect. Just a big variation of like a lot of different colors of green. I think I kind of messed that part up. This shadow, I'm gonna make it go like this a little bit more. It's got lots of branches, so it's not a huge deal. Lots of yellow and white, just where the sun is hitting between these shadows. A lot of different colors, a lot of different yellows here, a lot of different greens, not just one solid, just one color for shadows and one color for highlights. The variation will make it look better, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. If I had a little cup of tea to sip, I would. Let's go a little bit darker around the fence, even though I'm still gonna have to do more to this fence. That is real dark. Too much paint on my brush. Still gonna have to do some work in front of the fence here after I get the fence painted. Just wanted to make some progress on the grass. And then a few little places over here with the darkest green, just to make some of the shadows darker, so that they're not all really dark. Some of the shadows will be dark, some will be light. Real dark behind the tree trunk. And just go back and forth with it until you're happy. I'll darken up this little part of the hill because it's coming downhill and apparently the light's coming from over here, so just going to darken that side up a little bit. Okay, let's work on this fence. It's a rock fence, and I kind of wish I had just done a regular fence, but it's way too late for that now. This liner brush, I'm not going to put it down in my water. I'm just going to rinse it off. Because if you put your brush, your long liner brushes like this down in your cup of water, it's going to sit like this at the bottom of the jar, and that's going to bend it, and it will permanently bend it. So I just rinse it off until I'm ready to wash it, and then just lay it to the side until I'm ready. I'm going to go back to this filbert brush. This was the same brush that I used to block in the trees, and I'm going to paint me a little fence. Gray, black, and brown. Just a couple different colors. Get out some more white. And I may need a little more. May need a little more brown. That brown is about dry. I'm going to start with the black. And block it back in because I kind of painted over it. Oh, here comes my cat. Hold on. He's ready for some attention. Watch your toe beans. I don't want to roll over you. Hopefully he doesn't start messing with the tripod. All right. Anyway. And we'll block this back in. I'm just going to go right over top of my tree so that I don't have to worry about it right now. I want the top edge of this fence to be real uneven. Buddy? Buddy's my cat's name. I can smell your breath from here. Hi, baby. So it's supposed to kind of look like that fence is going to carry on around that curb. Hi, baby. And I'm going to go in with some darker green. And I'm just going to give it a little more texture. It's looking real solid over here on this side, and lots of texture over here, so I don't want that. I'm going between all three different greens. Oh my gosh. Not that. Nope, nope, nope. Undo. Back with the yellow. That white was really hoping to make that yellow pop. There we go, more texture. At least it looks like it matches now a little bit. There's like a lot of white patches over here too, so I'm gonna do a little of that. A little of this and a little of that. Hi, buddy. Why is your breath so stinky? Whew. Back to the dark. Fix my shadow again. Bro. Quit. All right. I guess that's okay. 1, 2, 3. All right, now back to the fence. Black and white. And I'm just gonna start putting some little, that might be a little bit bright, but it might be okay. I can like tone it down. I'm using the black underpainting for like the shadows between the rocks. I have a stencil I could probably use, but chances are you guys don't have that, so I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to tone this down a little bit, I think. Bro, don't start. I need to start making these little stones smaller. Until they just kind of blur together out there. Just to a couple places. Now I'm going to dry brush a little bit of black over some spots. By dry brush, I just mean a little bit of paint on my brush, not very wet. And I just kind of scratch over top of it. Put some highlight on a few of these top ones. I think that brush is a little too big for this. This is just a little flat brush from the Deco Fine Detail set. Ooh, that was too white. Eee. Throw my tree back on here so it makes a little more sense. Ugh. Yeah. I keep grabbing too much white and then too much black. And then put a little black here and there because I went a little overboard. bigger and more back here where it's closer and you can see it more. All right. All right, now that I've got my fence done, I'm going to put some grass sticking up in front of the fence. I'm going to start with the shadow color, the dark color. And I'm going to hold my brush 90 degrees and vertically just kind of go back and forth with it. And then a little tiny bit of highlight because this is in the shadow area. But I still want to be able to see some grass sticking up. So not much highlight and a darker color of the highlight. Just a little. Couple little blades sticking up. This is really dark right here. I'm going to darken this part up as well. Right along this road. Just so that it looks like the grass is kind of tall through there. And it's like there's the road is down instead of it just being like perfectly level with the grass. All right. Now I'm going to do these a couple little background spring trees, but I need to mix up some color for that. And originally I was going to use these two colors of pink, but I don't think I'm going to use them. I think those are going to be too pink. To mix something, I'm going to put my this plate off to the side in case I need it again. I'm going to use some alizarin crimson, Indian yellow, white, which I'm almost out of. And I think I'm going to just take some of that and put it in the white because this is going to be lighter than it is dark. That is a much better pink than the pink that I was going to use. A little more alizarin for the shadow. Good morning, I'm making a video, okay? Hey, go ahead and take your medicine, eat your breakfast, and get dressed, okay? I want to mix up enough of this color so that I have enough to do this big tree as well. I don't want to have to remix the same color. And then for the highlight, well, I think that would be a good highlight color, but for the shadow color, I'm going to add more alizarin. Hopefully that's enough of a contrast. If it's not, I can go a little bit darker or lighter. For the background trees, I'm just going to use this little brush. It was flat, but it's kind of round now at this point. I'm going to start with the shadow. And, oh, sorry, my bad. I gotta put the branches back in there. some brown, burnt umber. I think this brush will be big enough for this. We'll see. Got too much paint on my brush. Highlight looks. Hopefully that's light enough. Yeah, just little dots. I don't want to cover it all up. Leave plenty of room for the shadows. And now for the little white tree, I'm going to use gray and white. Very, very light gray. Oh, I'm going to need more white than that. Ooh. Gray. Right over top of the pink too. I'm just tapping. Nothing too crazy. Bless you, buddy. And now with just the white, did you take your medicine? Now with a really super skinny, small liner brush, I'm going to take some brown or burnt umber, and I'm going to put a few little branches here and there. Buddy's back. Hey, psst, 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 quit. I think that's enough. I'm going to bring this pink over here just a little bit behind this tree because I feel like I kind of just stopped right there. Ooh, too much paint. All right. Now let's work on these big trees and the road. 3, 1, 2, 3. And we'll use a little bit of black on the trees in the foreground. Same filbert brush that I used to block them in. I'm putting the black on the shadow side. I'll use a little bit of this chestnut brown for the tree highlights. I just kind of blend that in with the black and brown. Ooh. All right, that's a good start. Then I'm going to start filling in. Extend these branches back out because I painted over them earlier. Putting a little bit of water on my brush so that it spreads across the canvas easier. Well, also need to put paint on my brush. And now for the little pink buds up here. I'm just going to use this filbert brush. It's kind of worn out. I'm hoping this works. All right. Sorry. Some of the shadow pink. And I'm just going to start tapping.
I think this brush is too big for this, so I'm going to switch to a smaller one. This is from the Deco Fun Detail set. I'm not sure that's going to be, the contrast of that is enough. I can do this layer and then maybe a little bit lighter. So there's 3 different colors. I don't think that's light enough though. Lots of tapping. Could probably speed this part up.
I'm going to go a little lighter on the pink up here that's highest up in the sky. Just by adding some white.
And I'm gonna go back to my long skinny brush, skinny liner. And I'm gonna start with the brown because I think the black might be too much. Did you eat your breakfast, buddy?
All right, I think that's enough. Now for some of these very top ones, I'm gonna cover them up just a little bit with some of the lightest highlight color, just to break them up. Here and there. Some of them are wet. Okay. I think that's it for that tree. That one turned out really nice. And now, the last tree. Shadow side's gonna be over on this side now.
I'm just adding some black. Ew, what is that, a clump? And then some chestnut. Oof. I don't think I rinsed the black out of my brush. Oh gosh. Okay. And this one's going to be green. We are almost done. We are real close. Oh, sorry, buddy. I have a heating pad that I keep at my feet. I have my art disc, and my cat likes to steal it from me. So we need some more green, and I think I'm going to use the same greens that I used on the grass. So I'm going to switch back to this plate. And for these leaves, we could try an angle brush. I don't know. Let's try and see. But let's dry this first.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so since I've got so much green everywhere else, and this tree is going to have green leaves and buds, I'm going to do very few green leaves. This is the same green that I used on the grass. And I'm using an angle brush this time. I'm gonna see how it turns out. I don't know if it's gonna look all right or not. And I'm just gonna like kind of tap and rotate my brush. But I need more paint than that on my brush. About too dry. I got enough left, I think, but I'm not really going to be able to see it down here until I put the highlights on it. I'll put another little branch coming down here, I guess. Don't want to overdo it. Couple big leaves, some small ones, couple clusters of leaves. I think that's a good start. I'm going to add the highlights, and I'm going to see if that's enough, because if I go too overboard right now, too early, I'm going to regret it. I'm going to add some yellow to my lightest green. So you can see some of what I'm doing down here. And go right over top of what I've already done. All right, let's do some branches and then see what we got before I get too carried away. Back to my long skinny liner brush and the brown. Oh, I think my brown is too dry. This has to be real thin. Just making sure there's no big drips. And there was. Extend some of these branches out, make them real skinny. Ooh, that's a lot of paint right there, a big glob. I said I was gonna bring a branch out here. And you can do this as much as you want or as little as you want. Just try to remember to overlap your branches. And try not to just make them all go out one direction, like straight out like that, like all of them going out like this. Just try to remember to bring a couple of them off to the side. You can bend a couple of them backwards. In my opinion, that's kind of the key. Real skinny at the ends. Whoopsie. I think that's enough. I don't really see anywhere else that I would want to add anything. I think that's enough. I don't want to go overboard with it. The last thing to do here is the road. So let's get that done and then we are done. And for the road, I think I will use just this brush. It's a flat bristle brush. It's like the other ones that I've been using. This is another one in that set. I'm going to use some of this mocha finally. And burnt umber. Drake, are you dressed?
Yes.
Okay. Just kind of tap and scratch. Make it look like a dirt road. And then some white for the brightest parts. I hear my fiance. Hey, good morning. Guess what I'm doing? I'm making YouTube. video. All right, let's finish this up. Just tapping on some highlights. And I was going to add some grass sticking up along the side of the road here, but I actually think it looks fine the way it is. And I'm really happy with how this actually turned out. I don't paint a lot of really bright, colorful paintings like this, but it's kind of nice. So thank you guys for watching. And if you liked today's video, just smash the like button. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching. If you liked today's video, give that like button a tap and please consider subscribing. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok where I upload content almost daily. Thank you for watching.